Tuesday, July 31st. I'm Scott.
I'm Rim.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we ramble a bit about the shoot-'em-up games. Let's do this.
You know, it wasn't too long ago we were talking about Poke fatigue and how we were kind of sick and done of Pokemon. That kind of got ruined over the week at the shore when everyone had their Pokemans and they were showing me them.
Well, basically, I had super Pokemon fatigue. I had no desire to play whatsoever. All right, I kind of wanted to have the team that I wanted, but I didn't want to play the game at all. And so I didn't play. And then at the shore, well, actually at Otakon, someone traded me a Spiritomb, which is my favorite Pokemon. And then when we got to the vacation spot, we all went in the underground, and I discovered that in the underground there are actual things down there that matter in the game as opposed to just useless spheres and crap.
However, that fact kind of pissed me off. I didn't want to have to go down there.
Yeah, well, anyway, I like getting the fossils because I like a lot of the fossil-type Pokemon.
No, you like having the fossils. I don't believe you like the process of getting the fossils.
No, not really, but I do like the fossil Pokemons, like the Omanytes and the Kabutos, right? So, I was having a little bit of fun with the Pokemon again suddenly. And then I had 2 Spiritombs, and I started hatching Spiritomb eggs. And
Scott made 1 million Spiritomb eggs.
And then I was hatching Combees. And
Combe is the best Pokemon.
Combee's an awesome Pokemon. And then I said, hey, I got Spiritomb, I got Combee. Let's get this on. And I started playing a lot more Pokemons. And then I haven't played Pokemon since I got home.
See, I was in a little bit of a different boat. I was just stuck. I didn't know where to go because I hadn't played it in a while. I didn't remember what was going on in the plot.
Well, that's why when you turn the game on, it tells you what you did last.
Yeah, and what I did last was wander around trying to figure out where to go.
Oh, awesome.
So someone told me, and I went up and I got my gigantic special Pokemon and did all that. And I'm nearing the end of the game, and I realized that, I want to actually beat this game. However, when I was playing around with everyone else and they were all in the underground, and I refused to participate in that underground shenanigans, I realized that a lot of the things that I can do in this game, but that I probably should do to have optimal Pokemon, I'm not willing to do. EV training can go fuck itself.
I'm not willing to do those things either. I'm just gonna, basically the only other reason I started playing again is because after you beat the game, this island in the northeast opens up to you, right? So I explored that entire island before I got fatigued. And there was a volcano on that island that I just couldn't get to somehow. So I kind of stopped playing because I couldn't get to the volcano or figure out how. And I figured out how to go up that volcano. So that sort of brought me back into the game. And I'm pretty sure, even though I'm fatigued again, I will unfatigue enough to go up the whole volcano. Also, just walking around the game, like doing stuff while people were around, I discovered like hidden places in the game I didn't know about before, like the Fuego Ironworks and stuff like that. I also learned how to use the Versus Seeker. So
that's been around a while.
I know, I just never knew how to use it properly. It would, like, I'd push the button, it would make a noise, and it wouldn't do anything. So I was like, how the hell does this piece of shit work? Because it didn't come with directions. So I didn't know how to make it do its thing.
It kind of told you what it did and how to use it.
No, not when I got it. When I got it, it said, you can use this to fight trainers again. And I'm like, okay, how?
So, didn't you wonder, like, maybe I should go to where trainers are that I fought once?
I didn't even try, really.
So
I pushed the button, it made a noise and didn't do anything once, so I put it away. And I could never get it to work in the older games either, so... Yeah, basically, because I figured out how some stuff works in the game and found some new places, slightly rekindled interest, but that's about it.
I don't know. I think for me, and I said at the shore quite famously that I'm done with Pokemon, to which people responded, well, then give me all your Pokemans. I'm not done with it in that regard. I'm done with it in the sense that I am not going to put any effort into this game other than getting my perfect team, maybe one, like, funny auxiliary team. I'm thinking of making an all-anthropomorphic team.
Great.
Because there's actually far more than 6 anthropomorphic Pokemon at this point.
Yep.
And that's going to be it. Because while I realized I don't really care about a good 80% of the game, and I've already gotten the whole Pokemon experience, it is kind of fun to battle with other people in public. And I need a team to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's the thing is I really want to have a perfect team of 6 Pokemon I really like. But I do not want to have to do the work necessary to get that team.
So I realized I'm going to do the work to get a team that's good enough to sit at an artist alley table and play against you listeners. But I'm not going to make a team that's good enough to beat the kid with 6 legendaries in the tournament.
No, I'm definitely not going to do
6
that.
level 1 EV trains hacked legendaries.
Yeah. Okay. News.
So, in the news, we missed this since we were out on vacation, but I find this sort of thing fascinating, and it's the kind of thing we talk about a lot. It's also the kind of thing that gets us hecklers at Kineticon. But we've talked a lot about board games and German games and how a lot of times we get sick of a game once we solve it. You know, when you realize you come to the core of a game and you now know the exact optimal move to make at any time, and beyond that, victory is either predetermined or random. Well, some games, particularly perfect information games, can be solved in a very simple but not easy way. Now, I say simple but not easy because it is simple. It's a perfect information game. You know every possible move. You can't hide information from the other person. Everyone knows everything. So all you have to do is have a computer try every single possible move. That's very simple. It's not, however, easy because a game like, say, checkers or chess has a lot of possible moves.
Like a bajillion.
Well, people have been working on these problems, and a lot of smaller games have been solved in the past. Like, I believe 5x5 Go is perfectly solved.
Yep.
Just recently, the game of checkers, a game that I very much enjoy.
You enjoy checkers?
I did it. I enjoyed checkers more than chess.
I kind of like checkers.
Of course, I think the reason was when I was a kid, I had a friend named Adam who was actually a semi-professional chess competitor. And he was super, super good, and he was ranked. And as a result, whenever I played chess, I always fucking lost. And it was no fun at all.
See, I used to like chess more than I like it now because, like, when I'm just a kid and I got, like, little pieces that all move in weird ways, it's like, ooh, wee, fun times, killing the other guys, you know. But once, you know, chess sort of opened up and I saw what chess really was all about, I didn't like that. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, playing against him, like seeing the patterns and realizing that the game was not about tactics or strategy. Well, I guess it was about strategy. It's more about memorizing patterns, long, complex patterns.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Anyway,
checkers.
the game of checkers, which I thought was fun, is solved completely and perfectly. It turns out that the first player, black, is guaranteed, if he plays optimally and the other person also plays optimally, a draw.
Yep, it's just like tic-tac-toe. If everyone plays perfectly and makes the best possible move every time, the game is a tie every time.
Yep, so by the same token, no matter what player 1 does as his first move, player 2, white, can automatically, if they make optimal moves from this point forward, no matter what, make the game a draw. As a result, the game of checkers is completely and fundamentally and utterly broken and solved in every possible way.
Yep, playing checkers is basically the same as playing tic-tac-toe. It's the same game.
Now, of course, this brings up the interesting point that the heckler at Kineticon wouldn't let us get to. While checkers is solved and done, and a person who theoretically knows the solved state and the ways to all the patterns leading up to the solved state can never lose the game of checkers, most people don't know this at all. And as a result, the game is still relatively strategic and tactical for those people. So what it comes down to is a game, whether or not it's solved, is fun or not fun, depending on how much you have solved it relative to how much the other person has solved it.
That's why little kids have a lot of fun with tic-tac-toe.
And that's why me and Scott and pretty much everyone in the world who's intelligent had a lot of fun with Settlers of Catan for, 2-3 years before they eventually solved it.
Yep.
So I guess the moral here is just because a game is solvable, or we're down on a game because we solved it, doesn't mean that game isn't awesome.
It just means...
we're done with it.
Yeah, it's the game over.
Computers are done with checkers.
Computers are indeed done with checkers. You know, don't play checkers against a computer. The best you can hope for is to tie.
Yep.
And that's if you play perfectly with no mistakes. One mistake, you lose.
Yeah, apparently on this site, they've solved a bunch of other things. Awari is solved. I don't remember if that's the game I know or if I know Mancala, but I know one of the two.
Mancala.
Connect 4
I
is
just
solved.
want to learn how to play Mancala.
Actually, Connect 4 has been solved by multiple people.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure I played Connect 4 pretty close to solved.
I'm close, but I'm not great because the Linux computer on hard beats me about 60% of the time.
That's pretty much the only time I lose.
Go is 5x5 solved, and Othello is 6x6 solved.
That's why we play big Othellos.
God, Othello is a good game.
Yeah, Othello's
I used to play
great.
that with my dad all the time. I don't think I ever beat him.
I think of all the games of perfect information, Othello is and non-randomness. Othello is my favorite.
I really do like Othello.
Yeah.
If I hadn't known Adam Cole as a kid, I probably would have liked chess a lot more.
Of course, I think if you include the random perfect information games, I like the backgammons.
See, I like backgammons, but there is a lot of randomness, and
There is a lot of randomness.
it's pretty easy to make optimal moves.
And it is easy to make optimal moves, but I also like in backgammon is the risk-taking going on that the other games don't have so much.
True, but then again, it's just odds playing. It's one of those, all right, I have a 60% chance of this move being good. However, if I take this move, there's a 30% chance that it'll completely fucking own the other guy, but a 20% chance that it'll completely fucking own me, and all these.
Yep, that's exactly backgammon. I kind of like it.
Well, I think part of that is that's kind of how life is. Life is not a perfect information game.
Life is like a backgammon.
Kinda. I'd extend the analogy, but I'm done with that.
All right. I also like, come on, backgammon. Dun-dun-dun.
But seriously, check out this site out, and
Lincoln Gannon.
if you think, good God, if you think this is pretty cool, I'd recommend you try to read about game theory.
All right.
Warning, if you don't like math, you won't like game theory.
Okay, so I don't really have much news, really, but there's a whole bunch of video games out really recently and soon. You ready for this?
Oh, the video games, we gotta buy them.
You ready? Here's the video games. You ready? I think well, first of all, I bought Planet Puzzle League for the DS, which came out in early June.
It's pretty freaking hot.
It's Panel de Pon, a.k.a. Tetris Attack, a.k.a.
Now, granted,
Pokemon Puzzle League.
kind of bought it by accident. We were trying to leave Otakon to get to the beach and do our things at the beach. But Scott decided he had to go shoe shopping, so he dragged me and Pete into the mall and pranced around looking for shoes.
I didn't. I went
for
to
like
Foot
an hour.
Locker. I went to Foot Locker for like 2 seconds, saw they had no shoes I wanted, and walked out.
So Scott was prancing around looking for shoes, but he couldn't find any he liked, and I guess
Yeah.
he couldn't find a matching handbag to go with the shoes. So he ended
I
up
was
not
in
buying
Foot
any.
Locker
Meanwhile,
for less than 30 seconds.
Meanwhile, me and Pete, being men, went over to the GameStop.
I went to the GameStop immediately after like 30 seconds. In
yeah,
the Foot
because the
Locker.
handbag didn't match the freaking shoes.
Because they
he
sell
wanted.
handbags at Foot Locker.
Suffice to say, Scott's shoe shopping made us about an hour late to the show.
It made us it was not what made us late. What made us late was
the handbag not matching the shoes that you wanted.
the parking fee being an ass.
The parking fee might have been slightly less if you hadn't desperately and suddenly needed to buy shoes.
The parking fee was not a result of
we
my
drove
30
300
seconds.
miles to an anime convention. We were about to drive another 100 and something miles to the
And
shore.
I spent 30 seconds in a Foot Locker.
And suddenly Scott decides, I need to buy shoes.
Yeah, I did, because my sneakers are pretty much dead. I'm probably going to replace them this weekend.
If only the handbag had matched.
Right.
Anyway,
How long are you going to keep this up?
you see, you guys don't realize that Pete and I made fun of Scott along these lines for about 4 hours total, non-consecutively.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much until my voice gave out.
Because I spent 30 seconds in a Foot Locker.
Well, the handbag wouldn't match.
God damn it, what the fuck's wrong with you? Are you sure you didn't take drugs before the show started?
I might have.
Great.
I took a bunch of Sudafed, and I had some Rim Summertime Lemonade.
Aren't you not supposed to mix those?
No, you're not supposed to mix NyQuil and Rim Summertime Lemonade.
Uh-huh.
Because NyQuil has acetaminophen in it,
Uh-huh.
which is bad for your liver.
But doesn't NyQuil also have alcohol in it?
I didn't take NyQuil,
Uh-huh.
so it doesn't matter.
Okay, so Pokemon Puzzle Planet Puzzle League. I got that, right? So that's out. Picross DS. If you never played, there's a game called Mario Picross for the original Game Boy.
A lot of people haven't played it. I'll admit that I had never heard of it or played it until Scott showed me about it.
You can actually, you can go online and someone made a Flash game. If you just search on Google for Wii Picross, Picross, they made a Flash game that you can play on the Wii that's basically Picross. And that's how you can learn what Picross is and how to play. And if you like that, then you should probably buy Picross. Basically, it's a puzzle, sort of like the ones you find in a puzzle book that you would buy in the newsstand. And you try to basically decode this grid to create a picture that consists of pixels that are either on or off. Another game you should pay attention to. Oh, the first game for the Wii that I think is going to be exciting. Just today, or just tomorrow, I'm not sure. Mario Strikers Charge for the Wii. It's out, US.
Oh, man.
Maybe we'll buy it this weekend.
We really should, because we jumped on the old Mario Strikers bandwagon way too late.
That's true.
That game was pretty fantastic, even though we both pretty much... Scott was better than me just because he played it more than me, but we pretty much dominated anyone else we played against just because we played it slightly more than the rest of them.
Yep. So if we get on this one early, it'll be pretty cool. Worms DS. If you don't know, there was a Worms for the DS already, and it sucked.
It sucked ass. That was one of the most disappointing things in the world, because Worms always has the potential to be awesome, much like Scorched Earth was awesome.
Yep. So Worms DS is coming out on August 6th, the second Worms DS, and hopefully it won't suck like the first Worms DS. And I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see on that one. What other exciting games? The Metroid game, I think, comes out towards the end of August, maybe? I'm not quite sure.
I'm kind of excited just because I really don't like controlling games with the analog stick looking around, and if I can look around with a Wii stick, I'm all about that.
Yeah, we'll finally see how good the Wii is for FPSing and not with the stupid red whatever or the other one.
Yeah, that game
the
just came out.
World War II game.
Was it World War II?
There was a World War II game.
Because there was that Yakuza game, Red Steel.
That's the Red Steel. Yeah, there are a few FPSs on the Wii, not so hot. Hopefully the Metroid will be hot. And yeah, there's some other games coming out. You should probably go on the internet and look at the release schedules, because it's going to basically slowly build up until the holiday season when you're going to get the explosion, mostly with the Smash Brothers, but you know.
Yeah, the thing is, we've been a little bit behind on the Vigi-games, haven't been buying the new ones as they come
right,
out.
I forgot. I think I said on the show before that Paper Mario is out on the original Nintendo 64 Paper Mario is out on the Wii.
That
the
is
Virtual
true.
Console.
There is, however, a much more important game.
And that's probably worth buying. However, just yesterday, they released Dynamite Headdy for the Wii Virtual Console. Now, Dynamite Headdy is a game I had as a kid for the Sega Genesis, and it's not a very well-known game. And you might be thinking, what the fuck, Dynamite Headdy? I don't know, what the fuck is that shit, right? Dynamite Headdy is a game made by Treasure. If you never heard of Treasure, you probably should have, because they're a game development house that sort of makes all these awesome games. They made Gunstar Heroes, which is also on Virtual Console. And Dynamite Headdy, I would say, is one of maybe the best 10 2D platform games ever.
Let me put it this way. I really didn't like the Sega Genesis, and I hated most of the games that came out on it. However, this game... When Scott showed it to me, I had to respect it. I feel a little bit bad for having missed out on it as a kid.
You know, it's the walking and the jumping, and you're this guy with a head that's sort of detached, and you shoot your head at things in 8 different directions.
It's not as dumb as it sounds.
It's not as dumb as it sounds. And the theme of the world is like this big puppet world on a stage, and the things keep changing, and the music is cool, and the enemy, your nemesis, Trouble Bruin, is pretty cool. He's like this cat thing. And he always, at first, you fight him with his normal cat body, and then he attaches his head to all sorts of robots later on. And you have to play the game just to get the experience. Don't read any strategy guides or anything. Just play through, and it's really cool, and it's not like any other platform you've ever played. And when you switch all these different weird heads, and you find all these secrets, and you interact with the environment in weird ways, and it's a load of fun. Play Dynamite Headdy. It's one of the only Virtual Console games worth your money.
Things of the day. So, I thought this was somewhat interesting, and while there's a tiny chance it's not true, I know enough about criminals in prisons to know that they are some ingenious motherfuckers. And they come up with some elaborate ways. I mean,
I think one of our earliest things of the day was the Gallery of Shivs, was it not?
Not shavs, shivs.
Yes.
You know what I like more than killing?
Stabbing?
Nothing. Except maybe biscuits. God, I gotta find that Prison Funnies again. I didn't see it at the Mocha this year, so I couldn't buy the next one.
Maybe you should look it up on the internet.
I probably should. I didn't think of that until just now. I was reminded of it just now. But apparently, people in prisons, they get a little bit of money, and they can buy little things sometimes to keep themselves company. They bought PS2s occasionally and video game systems, but the one system that everyone hated when they bought, and they tried to keep them from getting, was the N64. Because the N64's Rumble Pack could fairly easily be turned into a wicked awesome prison tattoo gun.
Really?
Quote, it's actually pretty easy. There's no workshops in maximum security. They do it in their rooms with a battery power taped to a tube. The motor from the rumble is then taken out and attached to the top of the tube. A needle or pin is run down the middle of the tube. When on, the needle will move up and down like a sewing machine. The needle is then dipped in the ink. The ink is made from the ink inside of a ballpoint pen.
That's a wonderful tattoo that I'm sure won't hurt at all or damage you permanently in any way.
I don't think there's any prison tattoo that's not going to hurt a lot and not going to be bad for you in some way.
Why don't they just have an actual tattoo parlor in the goddamn prison so that people could do it properly?
Because most of the tattoos people get are to affiliate with their gang whatevers, and the prisons don't want to encourage that. Also, the prisons are generally kind of corrupt and broken in the U.S.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point.
Okay.
The point is, if you want to make yourself a custom prison tattoo, get yourself a rumble pack from an N64 and a ballpoint pen.
I think what it shows is that if you think that computer hackers or hackers in general do poorly in prison because they're weak and they'll get their asses beat and raped, probably not, because they can come up with stuff like this 10 times better than the prisoners can.
Yeah, I mean, these are not smart dudes in prison. If they were smart, they wouldn't be in prison.
So imagine smart dudes in prison.
Thing is, I still don't want to go to prison.
No, definitely not. But
yeah, you know that whole rather rule in hell than serve in heaven? I wouldn't really care about ruling the prison.
No. All right, so one of the hardest NES games I've ever played. I mean, it's not the hardest ever, period, but it's a damn fucking hard game. I mean, the game is basically a dick. It's hard and long. The game is Battletoads. The game is Battletoads. And if you ever played Battletoads, you'll know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't played Battletoads, you should go play Battletoads. It's a classic game everyone should play.
The story behind Battletoads is very simply, Battletoads was a mediocre game, a little bit similar to like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game.
It was a walk sideways beat 'em up game.
But it also had a couple of cool modes and a couple of neat things. But basically, it was mostly ignored, and a marketing effort hitherto unseen by the likes of man was brought forth by Nintendo through Nintendo Power, complete with comics.
I don't think it was Nintendo specifically. I mean,
Nintendo
who
Power had this gigantic blitz of Battletoads is the best game ever.
I think it's because they didn't make Battletoads, though. It wasn't a game made by Nintendo.
But they pushed Battletoads.
It was made by Rare, and Rare, I guess paid everyone to push it off.
Regardless of who paid for it, Nintendo in Nintendo Power pushed Battletoads more than they pushed the average game.
It was a heavily pushed game, and there were ads in every video game magazine, and I think there was a TV cartoon, and there was a whole bunch of stuff going on.
The comic was particularly bad. The only thing I remember from it is the bad guy had a bumper sticker that said I Club and then Battletoads.
Yeah, basically the problem was that they wanted to beat Ninja Turtles, so they made Battletoads and they pushed it as hard as they could, and it kind of worked, but it didn't beat Ninja Turtles. It just also succeeded on some level.
The game had a lot of wacky, zany weirdness in it, and also a lot of really fucking hard jumps.
Yep, and it was a good game anyway. I mean, it wasn't the greatest game, but it was a good game, and it's important to play Battletoads. This video is a speed run of Battletoads.
Hot damn.
It is not a perfect speed run of Battletoads. The guy dies a few times, he does a few things suboptimally, but it's still wicked, crazy, stupid fast. Way faster than I could ever do it.
What was he beat it in, like 25 minutes?
25 minutes.
It took me as a kid, like me and my little brother, I think 4 or 5 hours to actually beat the stupid game.
Yep, so watch this. It's pretty amazing. And play Battletoads. And also watch this video. And play Battletoads. And watch the video.
So, a genre of gaming somewhat underserved nowadays, partly due to games that call themselves these but are actually something else entirely. Gonna talk a bit about the shmups.
Well, actually, shmups, if you want to get, I don't know, depending on what facts you decide to agree upon, the shmup might be the oldest genre of video game, period. I mean, Space War.
Yep.
Space Invaders. There you go.
Galaga.
Galaga's a lot less old than Space Invaders.
Yeah, but even so, it's older than most people.
Galaxian.
Yeah.
The prequel to Galaga.
I've never actually played Galaxian.
You've never played Galaxian?
Nah, I've seen it, just never bothered playing it. I've seen it.
With the bats.
I know. I've seen a lot of people
play. I've
play
played
it.
So much Galaxian.
I played a lot more Galaga.
I played a lot of Galaga too, but I've played so much Galaxian. You never played a single Galaxian?
You know what I played a lot more than all those games combined?
I had Galaxian on Windows 3.1 in the Microsoft Arcade Pack.
Gigawing.
Uh-huh. Great. All right, so shmups are pretty damn cool because...
Should we define shmup?
You want to define shmup? All right. The thing is, if you wanna be non so strict with your interpretation of the word shmup, it's a shoot 'em up. So you could consider something like, I don't know, Gunstar Heroes or what's that name? I forget the game for the Super Nintendo.
R-Type, Gradius.
No. Those are obviously shmups. The one where the guy walks sideways.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
There was that prototype game that everyone has a ROM of a superhero that flies sideways or walks sideways, but...
No. But depending on how liberal you are with your definitions, there are a lot of games that you could consider to be shmups that aren't actually space shmups, specifically.
Yeah, generally the way I take a shmup is a game that either top scrolls or side scrolls, and you have some sort of craft, and the craft moves around, and you can shoot projectiles out of the craft and possibly power the craft up.
Oh, what about like Pocky and Rocky?
Yeah, Pocky and Rocky looks like a mystical ninja kind of game, but it's actually a shmup, really.
Sort of.
The way it plays it is.
Yeah. It's basically a game where you shoot things. You move around in I guess is any 3D game a shmup? I mean,
I don't know. You could make a 3D-ish shmup, but...
I mean, is Descent a shmup?
See, I wouldn't think so. I'd call that an FPS, partly because you're in the first person there. In shmups, you're always in the third person, straight up.
Oh, but what if you played Descent with the third person camera, which you can do?
I don't know. I personally wouldn't consider it a shmup, but I'm not the kind of person who would argue over the minute details of the term shmup.
Yes, but basically, a shmup is a game that involves moving something around the screen and having that thing not get hit by bullets while shooting things at it. The primary thing you do in the game is shoot and dodge. Shooting bad guys with projectiles while dodging enemies and the projectiles they shoot.
I think some of the best examples I can think of are games like Gradius, R-Type, 1942,
Life Force, UN Squadron,
1941,
Ikaruga, Space Invaders.
Even though Ikaruga sucks.
Space Invaders, Einhander,
Gigawing,
Darius and all of its incarnations.
all those Raiden games.
Raiden, yeah.
UN Squadron.
I said UN Squadron.
I wasn't listening at all.
Oh, good job.
Well, Area 88.
At least I think I said UN Squadron.
You better have. I love that game.
Yeah, it's a good
I never
game.
beat that game, but I love it.
I never beat it either. Raptor Call of the Shadows.
Oh, that game is like the best one ever.
Yeah.
At least for me.
But anyway.
I'll admit that I was never good at these games.
Oh, I'm good at some of them, but not all of them. And yeah, shmups are pretty cool because they're basically a test of pure dexterity.
Did you say Legendary Wings?
No.
You should have.
Okay.
I like that game.
It's all about dexterity and hand-eye coordination. You got a whole bunch of shit on the screen. You're moving a guy around to avoid it, but you're also trying to shoot all the things on the screen that are making stuff to avoid. And, depending on the shmup, this works in different ways. Because, what if you shoot diagonally? You got to move in such a way. What if there's way too many... Look at R-Type compared to Gradius, right? R-Type is actually quite difficult because it's all about precisely moving your craft, and you have this sort of shield thing that you can shoot and move around the screen. And it's all about when do you release the shield? When do you call the shield back? Use the shield in a clever way to kill a bad guy quickly, but bring it back quick enough so that the other bad guys don't get you. When the terrain of the screen moves around in such a way, stand in the exact right spot and make very small, precise movements not to get hit. Whereas Gradius is more shoot the bad guys, be in the right position to shoot them, get a lot of power-ups, and use your options to kill everything really fast before you get hit.
Or then there's games like Ikaruga, which are basically memorize the exact sequence of moves you must make to get the highest score on this level. Then memorize the exact sequence of moves to get the high score on the next level.
Yeah, I mean, Ikaruga is interesting in that it has the mechanic of when you push a button, you switch from black to white. And when you're black things can't hit you. And your black weapon hurts white bad guys more. And when you switch to white things can't hurt you. And your white weapon hurts black bad guys more. And when you kill bad guys, they release little pellets. And if you absorb them because you're the same color as the pellets, then you power up your super weapon. So you'll see R-Type masters, usually what they do is they'll switch colors, collect a bunch of pellets, release the super weapon. Switch colors, release a bunch of
I believe
pellets.
you mean Ikaruga.
Yeah, Ikaruga, right. What did I say?
R-Type?
Oh, yeah. R-Type masters are much better than that.
Yes. Thing is, it's kind of enjoyable to watch a person play Ikaruga, but I tried to play it a bunch of times, and it wasn't fun. I pretty much would just have to play it and memorize what I had to do.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Ikaruga on paper is an awesome shmup. The problem is you can't play it the same way you play a shmup, and it's not fun. It lacks what makes the other shmups fun, which is just sort of trying to escape the bullets, not get hit, try to freewheel it, get to the end. Because the way you get more points is to do these combos, and the levels are exactly the same thing every time. It really does. The way to play it and win is to memorize exactly what to do. The game even has demo mode where it shows you what to do in a near optimal way, and then you memorize what the game did, and you try to do it yourself.
See, the sad thing is, I feel like that is the direction that almost all Japanese shmups are going these days. Every video I see of the end of some shmup is something along those lines, like the absolute perfect precise, this is the one pixel of my ship that can be hit, and I am slowly moving it left and right to avoid the billion projectiles in the precise manner.
Yep.
I hate that.
It's not fun. It's much more fun for there to be a lot, but not too many projectiles, where you can sort of look at the screen and react quick enough based on what you see, even if you need to have a very quick reaction to succeed, to avoid things, and also have a weapon powerful enough to destroy the bad guys.
I don't want my
but
shmup,
not so powerful and so large that you just kill all the bad guys without doing anything and it's boring.
I don't want my shmup to be like that stupid piece of pizza in Turtles that you just can't get.
Exactly.
I don't want there to be a piece of pizza that I could only have gotten if I knew to stay near the bottom of the screen exactly 27.8 seconds into the third level.
Yes. Now, there are actually a lot of newer shmups that are sort of doing interesting things. There's that Japanese guy, I forget his name. He's sort of an independent shmup developer. And the one game that he's made that's pretty popular is Tumiki Fighters, which is you shoot bad guys, and they're made of blocks, and then as the bad guys are dying, you crash into their broken ships, and they become part of your ship. And that sort of adds to your arsenal, but it adds to your size as well.
See, I love stuff like that. In shmups or any other kind of game, I really like a good way to progress, especially an interesting way. I think that's why I like Kirby so much, because you capture some new bad guy, and now you get some cool new power to use.
That's why G Darius is so cool, because in G Darius, you have the third weapon, which allows you to grab bad guys and bring them over to your team, and you can have any bad guy pretty much on your team at a time. You can only have one bad guy at a time, but pretty much anything that's not a boss you can grab. So you always wait for those sort of mid-boss enemies, and you use them to destroy, and then you carry them around with you for the rest of the level, dealing insane damages.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but G Darius is a good one. But Darius games are fun because all the bad guys are big robotic fish, and it's always funny.
See, I was just, in general, never very good at shmups, and the only ones I really played a lot were, the Battle of Midway I played a lot, because I actually owned it, and Legendary Wings, which I rented 3 times.
I never heard Legendary Wings.
It was on the NES or SNES? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Angels, Flying, Wings, shmup.
Yep. Oh, there's, what's the one where it's half shmup, half, RPG?
Oh, you can't remember.
Guardian something?
Guardian Legend?
Guardian Legend.
That game, I can't believe I forgot the name of it for a second. The game was impossible, but at the same time, that game was like this wonderful mystery to me. And as a kid, I spent so many hours trying to solve it and figure out what was going on. And I never got very far because I wasn't good at the shmup part.
Yeah, does Sinistar count?
I don't know. Sinistar is really kind of a unique game.
It is a unique game, and it's hard to say if it's a shmup or not. Basically, I can't believe... Have we ever talked about Sinistar on the show?
If we have or if we haven't, we're going to do it at some point in the future. I don't think we
do
should
a whole
spoil
show
that.
on Sinistar.
Yeah. All I want to say is I would love to see Sinistar remade.
Sinistar is a very old arcade game that is semi-unknown, semi-infamous, very awesome, easily turned into 4chan memes.
I hunger.
I
live.
Run, coward. Run, run, run. Basically, Sinistar had this digitized voice of the things the Sinistar said, and Sinistar said some funny things, like, I hunger, and beware, I live. Yeah, Sinistar. It's sort of a shmup, but not really.
Our friend Pete is probably the only person I know personally who's actually good at that game.
I'm okay at it. I practiced. I can get some Cinnabombs. And yes, they are called Cinnabombs.
Not Cinnabons.
No, not Cinnabons. Cinnabombs. Like boom, but cinnamon.
Granted, that one lady we met at that rest stop back then could have used some Cinnabombs instead.
Yeah, she could have.
I think she was trying to build the Sinistar inside of herself.
I think she already was the Sinistar.
She was big enough.
So, what else is there to say about Shmups? Shmups, I like them because it's sort of a game where I can just pick it up and play it at any time with no worries. It's a lot of fun to keep getting power-ups that make my weapon bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's a lot of fun to just dodge things and shoot things, and where the simple controls of move around and shoot, and that's it.
So it's kind of the Jerry Seinfeld thing, moving around, shooting around.
Moving around, shooting around, and it's a simple control, but the actual game is very advanced and complex. You have to move in complex patterns and see what's coming up. In a way, it's sort of like DDR. You have this arrows coming at you, and you have to sort of push these very few buttons in a pattern, in a correct way that you can match the pattern.
Actually, what I really like and what I want to see more of, particularly on the DS with the Wi-Fi and the wireless, is some sort of versus or cooperative many-player shmupping.
Well, there's that. What's the one?
The one on the Xbox?
No. The one that's on the DS. Oh yeah, that Nano Stray game. I'm not sure if that has multiplayer, but I heard that the second one might have some multiplayer. So that's pretty cool. Actually,
oh, go ahead. I
Yeah.
just remembered something.
a lot of older shmups have co-op play, which is also something interesting because back in those days, the only games with co-op play were beat 'em ups and shoot 'em ups, pretty much 'em ups. You would either two people would walk down the street beating stuff up, or two people would fly through space shooting bad guys together. And as time went on, the co-op shmups kind of went away.
Well, co-op gaming kind of went away.
Yeah, now it's sort of back and coming back, but
I think the Xbox has a lot to do with that because a lot of the best co-op gaming was always on the PC, and now the Xbox and Xbox Live is
best
making...
co-op gaming was always on the NES, where the shmups and the beat-em-ups were. And then the SNES, not so much, and the Genesis a little bit. And then when you got to the N64 in the 3D days, the co-op gaming was pretty much gone.
Too many games became just that player one,
Yep.
player two,
Yep.
player one.
And then all the 3D games on the PlayStation and the N64 and stuff were all 3D games that had split-screen multiplayer, but no co-op action.
But what I just remembered is, and I gotta remember the name of it, but at Otakon in the far left of the video game room, we saw a game that was like this versus shmup. Kind of like those puzzle-y pond games, but you pick a cute little girl, and you fly the cute little girls against each other, and depending on how well you shmup, it puts bad guys on the other person's screen.
Yeah, you know how you play like a puzzle game against someone, and when you do better, it puts more crap on the other person's screen.
Like you set up the combo, and then you blow it off, and then they get screwed unless they counter it and all that stuff. It was that, but it was a shmup with cute girls.
There were witches.
Doyles.
It looked like witches, basically, and you picked a witch, and I guess depending on which witch you picked, depending on which witch you selected, it would send different bad guys over to the other side, and you played a shmup on your side, and the more bad guys you killed and the better you played, the harder it made it for the other person, and if they cleared out the stuff that they got sent over, then it sent worse stuff over to you, and it was pretty cool, and I kind of wanted to play it, but there was a line. And
there wasn't a line. I was about to say, we really wanted to play it, but there was just this guy sitting there playing it.
And there was another guy there, too.
There's
making
two
a
guys,
line.
but there was no one else, and those two just kept playing it, and eventually we walked away.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, that's a wider gripe I have about pretty much every convention, other than the classic gaming at Katsucon. It seems like there's really no enforcement of any sort of etiquette of, all right, let someone else play the goddamn game.
Well, the thing is, when you go to an arcade, or if you're in a place, with like relatively few games, there is sort of an etiquette about getting up from the game.
But no one follows that anymore. At least depending on, like in Wildwood.
I think people do follow it. The problem is that when you have a big convention, right? Most people do follow the etiquette, right? Of you play a game, maybe the loser walks in a fighting game or something like that, right? But when you're at a big convention like that, right? There are people out there who don't follow the etiquette. The type of people who will play a demo game for an hour and not leave it, right? At an anime convention or any other sort of gaming convention with, some sort of shared console game that is publicly and freely playable, those are the types of people who are going to go to the game room and stay there a long time. They're also the types of people who are going to sit down at a game and not get up. And when you have a big convention and not so many games, odds are those kind of people, if there's 100 of them at the con, they're all going to be sitting at a game system taking it up.
Yeah, it doesn't help that those people tend to be oblivious to other people. I just think cons, what they need to do, in the very least, because there are disagreements over what the etiquette is. I mean, I've been to arcades where I put a quarter up to play DDR, and someone stares at me like, what the fuck are you doing with that quarter?
Yep.
You got to just have rules posted somewhere, even if you don't enforce them.
I found out the name of the Versus Shmup.
What's it called?
Twinkle Star Sprites.
What systems is it for?
Neo Geo, Saturn, Dreamcast, PS2.
I think we got to buy a PS2. That's like 4 games I want now.
Yeah. But it's a versus shmup where you pick a cute, girly character and you shmup, and yeah.
See, I love those puzzle games already for almost the same reasons. This game, I think, would be really cool, and I think I'd really like it.
I think someone needs to make a versus shmup for the DS. That's what we need.
I think someone needs to make some sort of epic versus shmup for the DS. Some sort of Wi-Fi-enabled leaderboard rankings. I can dream.
So if you had to pick one shmup forever...
Gigawing.
All right.
Or Raptor Call of the Shadows.
Yeah. I think I would just pick Galaga 1, because Galaga. The thing is, Galaga is actually a really interesting game that people don't seem to fully understand. Galaga, you're a little ship at the bottom, and there's bad guys at the top. And it's not like Galaxian or Space Invaders, so the bad guys are there when you start the level. The bad guys fly into the screen one row at a time. And so it's like you're sitting there with a blank slate, and a row of bad guys comes in. And while they're coming in, if you position yourself properly, you can kill all or a lot of them very quickly, because they're all in a line and they all follow the same path. So if you shoot at the right spot in their path, you can hit a lot of them with bullets. Then, whichever ones remain alive, line up at the top. And after all the bad guys come in, they sort of go back and forth, and then they'll take turns diving down at you the same way they do in Galaxian until you kill them all. The thing in Galaga that makes it special is the ship capture. See, there are these bug bad guys in Galaga. And that when they dive down at you, sometimes they'll spray this, wave beam at you. And most people go, oh, snaps, wave beam, and they dodge it, or they kill the bad guy that's shooting the wave beam. Little do they know, if you have a life remaining and you get hit by the wave beam, you don't die. Well, you do die. You lose a life. But it captures your ship. And your ship is now a bad guy. But when you come back to life, you have a chance to shoot the bad guy. And if you do not shoot your ship and you shoot the bad guy, you will now have 2 ships simultaneously.
On one hand, double the firepower. On the other hand, double the surface area.
Yep, your ship is now twice as wide as it normally is. So it's much harder to dodge things. And you basically sacrificed a life. But you can shoot 2 bullets side by side at once, and that's crazy awesome. So Galaga is actually a very deep game, and it plays forever, the same way Space Invaders or Galaxian plays forever. And it's way cool. I like it a lot. Yeah, awesome. It's going to be out on the DS soon. The Namco Arcade is coming.
I'm waiting for that. I mean, weren't you going to buy the game on the Virtual Console until you saw that?
Pretty much. It happened the same day. I was going to buy Galaga for the Virtual Console for $5, and the next day I saw Namco Museum for DS. And I said, well, I'll just wait for that then.
I'm pretty much going to buy that the day it comes out.
I'm also going to buy it the day it comes out. Do we really need 2 copies?
Yeah, because that's the kind of game that I'll just play on my own, like Tetris. I mean, some games like Bomberman or the puzzle game, only one person in your crew needs to own the game, and then everyone download plays. But for a game like that, I kind of want it for the single player to kill time when I'm standing in line at the bank or whatever.
Yep, that's what I need it for. All right, anything else to say about shmups, or should we go eat dinner?
I think we should go eat dinner.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Shmups are an awesome game genre. There's a lot of free shmups out there. If you've never played any shoot-'em-up games, you probably should play some.
Gigawing and Raptor Call of the Shadows.
I recommend you start, if you're going to play shmups at all, you should probably play at least Gradius, any Gradius. Probably Gradius 3 is probably the easiest. Raptor Call of the Shadows with the PC. It shouldn't be too hard to get that. Galaga. You probably want to play Space Invaders at least once. And also play something like Pocky and Rocky to see how a shmup isn't necessarily ships in outer space shooting a million bullets, but can also be other things.
Now, of course, to all of our new listeners, if you're looking for the Otakon coverage, stay tuned until tomorrow, because tonight was video games. Tomorrow night is anime and manga and comics.
And anime conventions.
Yes.
If we went to a gaming convention, we'd be talking about it today.
Yes, we would. But actually, the next gaming con we're going to, I believe, is UberCon, which I don't even know when it is.
I'm going to start looking for other gaming cons because I really want to go to them.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.